So that's that. And the name of the session that you're looking for is Grief Beyond Borders, Global Conversations with Loss. And it's Rhea Perkins. And we'll get on to what we mean by that. I'll quickly read out a little bit about the session, which is that grief is universal, but the ways that we express it are deeply shaped by culture, community, and circumstance. And so these are the kinds of borders, along with geographical borders, that we're going to discuss as to how those barriers, borders, delineated spaces affect our expression of grief, and what Rhea has to say about that. And I didn't introduce you as Dr. Rhea Perkins, but you actually are Dr. Rhea Perkins. I'm really sorry. Founder of Ask Robin. Oh, well, you didn't. I'm sorry, that's awful. An AI-powered grief companion designed to support people in navigating life's most complicated emotions. So let's get straight into that, because it's really surprising. You know, we talk all the time about how AI is dehumanizing and taking away all of the things and the poetry, and grief being such a human emotion. It's really surprising to see AI being used as a tool in such a positive way. And I'm really excited to hear that something really positive is coming out of it. So you did say to me just now, Ray, that you're interested in the ways in which we grieve, that there's this perception that there is no wrong way to grieve, but you actually have something to say about that, because you think there are wrong ways to grieve. So I'm going to hand over to you to share what you shared with me.
Okay, sure. So yes, there is a common saying, and I've even used it before, and now I'm embarrassed to say that I used to believe this way, but there's no right or wrong way to grieve, and I completely disagree. I think that there is absolutely a wrong way to grieve outside of self-harm and harming others. Of course, that is the wrong way to express your grief, but not expressing it at all, believing that or taking on this idea that you should avoid it, silence it, bury it, not talk about it at all, not experience it, not feel it. These are the wrong ways to grieve. I think that you should get comfortable giving your grief room to breathe and expressing it, because it is such a human emotion that we will all experience at some point.
You're so
That's my
succinct. I
story.
wouldn't. Yeah, that's the story. She's like, there is what I'm talking about.
That's it.
So, so how are we using AI? And the session that you're having is going to introduce people to ideas around how AI can enable us to grieve across geographical, cultural, and societal and systemic borders. Can you give us a little bit of a
Yes.
taster as to how that works?
Yeah, so Ask Robin, named after my mother that passed away, Robin. It is an AI tool. It's similar to ChatGPT. It's a conversational chat, but it's trained on and designed specifically for grief and loss. And so, for people who are maybe nervous about grief therapy, or haven't found a grief therapist that really fits them yet, or just unsure about the dark wonders of grief. This is an intimate product that you can use to kind of get your feet wet, to kind of get a taste of what grief could be, because it's not all dark, it's not all bad, it's not all sad, doom and gloom. There is some joy there, and but just getting comfortable and open to experiencing it can help you find that joy. And so that's what Ask Robin does. It does help you process through grief. Now, I will say it is not a replacement for therapy or human interaction and conversation at all. It is designed to meet you in the meantime, in between time, when maybe you're in the middle of therapist, or I'm sorry, in between therapists, haven't found one yet, or maybe you are spiraling at a time that is not during your therapy session. Robin can meet you there. And something that I do, I take the suggestions and conversations that I have with Robin to my therapist. And I feel that it helps our sessions have a much richer or deeper engagement there. So I'd highly encourage you to use it.
I love this, because there's so much now about how people are going on to the internet and looking for advice around it. Let's say they've got suicidal ideation and they go on and they look about that, and then
Yeah.
they're served up a lot of really, really
Mhm.
unhelpful and dangerous information. So to think
Yeah.
that someone has
Mhm.
programmed AI to receive really healthy and helpful information, and that it's
Yeah.
breaking down that barrier so you can just cross the threshold into professional support,
Exactly.
that's really, really brilliant. I'm
Exactly.
going to have a quick bit more of a read of your background, because I think people need to know
Okay.
how you found yourself here with this brilliant idea. So,
Okay.
we've got this
Okay.
AI powered grief companion that Dr. Ray Perkins has designed to support people in navigating life's most complicated emotion. Everyone, I'm going to read you this bio because it really tells you much more that, you might as well start there. So, with a background in educational leadership, program design, and entrepreneurship, Dr. Perkins brings a unique blend of innovation and compassion to the fields of grief, technology, and cultural care. Her work began with Away Message, an app that helps individuals preserve voice messages and final wishes for their favorite people. I love that term, favorite people. Listening closely to
Oh
the
yeah.
needs of grievers led to the creation of Ask Robin, a global platform that provides conversation, reflection, and logistical guidance for those facing loss in all its forms. As a woman founder deeply rooted in her personal story of loss, Dr. Perkins is committed to building tools that are emotionally intelligent, culturally relevant, and spiritually sensitive. Through her ventures, she envisions a world where grief support is not a privilege, but a universally accessible form of care. Company bio. Ask Robin is a grief support companion that helps people process loss, prepare for the inevitable, and navigate the logistical side of death. Built with emotional intelligence, cultural sensitivity, spiritual awareness at its core, Robin offers accessible care through conversation, reflection, and practical guidance. What began with Away Message, an app to preserve voice messages and final wishes, has grown into Ask Robin, a global platform designed to meet people where they are in their grief. Whether facing the death of a loved one, everyday losses, or the overwhelming logistics that follow, Robin provides comfort and companionship at scale, making grief support a resource for all. So that has never, ever, in my mind, could never, ever be a bad thing. And I see now why you're talking about cultural, not barriers, but boundaries, and the ways in which we can't
Mhm.
always access things through our mental health or through assumptions within our own
Mhm.
societies, where communities where we can't share our own experience. To think that you can, if it's a
Yeah.
taboo where you live, you can secretly find out
Mhm.
information. It's very democratizing and it's great. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. So tell us a little bit about
Thank
someone.
you.
Have you? Yeah, no, it's wonderful. Have you found any? Have you got any examples of people who've used it? Any feedback? Any
Oh
stories that you can
yeah.
share with us?
Yeah, actually, yes. So early on, when I was just testing it out, I sent it to a few people that I know, and then they shared it with a few people that they knew, and so on and so on. And at the time, I was collecting email addresses. And so I would email and ask for feedback just to see, okay, before I really release this to the world, how are people engaging with it? Do they like the responses? How can I tweak it? So on and so on. I, by the way, don't collect email addresses anymore, so it's really a free for all. You can just use it without putting in any information. Um, but the comments that I would get back, the emails, the DM, text messages, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. I think that people are really, really enjoying this because grief is not something that we are just openly talking about. Now it's becoming a little bit more, a little bit more safe, but only in certain pockets. It's not universally safe. Um, and so anyway, there was a story of a woman. I can share a few, but there's one story of a woman who is going through a divorce, quitting her or getting let go from her career of 30 plus years. A child recently passed, maybe within the last 5 years, and so there's just a lot of turmoil, a lot of deep sadness, a lot of confusion, anxiety around all these different types of losses. And she found a lot of comfort and solace in the things that she was able to disclose to Robin and the feedback that Robin was giving, and she told me that that was the first time in a long time where she didn't feel that everything was her fault. And that made me feel really good because sometimes you do need that type of comfort, not toxic positivity, but someone to or something rather to really validate how you feel and to provide some feedback if needed. One thing that has been recently updated to Robin is that before going into any type of feedback or suggestions or deep conversation, it will ask you if you want the responses to have a cultural or spiritual or any other type of tone. That way, the conversation is tailored specifically to you, and it can kind of help you feel a little bit more quote unquote seen or understood in your specific type of loss.
How brilliant. Isn't that lovely?
Thank you.
I mean, give us more
Thank you.
stories.
Thank
I think give us more stories. I think that's what people
you.
want to hear. Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah. All right. There is one okay, there is a someone who used Robin whose father was incarcerated for most of her life. And then I think within the last year released and navigating that type of relationship. Not really knowing who her father is as a person, just knowing that okay, my father is in prison, the father has gotten out, and she was expecting kind of like a fairy tale type of reunion with her father, but the father is extremely closed off, um, not an emotional person. I mean, he's been in prison for decades, so emotionally kind of cold, and so not really sure how to engage with her father in a way that feels fulfilling to her. And so the conversations, so she put that all out there for Robin, and Robin was able to spit out different type of suggestions for engaging with her father, different questions that she could ask, activities that aren't too intrusive, that kind of just break the ice, and things that she didn't consider outside of. You haven't been here my whole life. Why aren't you talking to me? And yeah, 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 yeah. These were a little bit more lighter, softer to like really break the ice and ease the tension between the two. So I enjoy that because people are using Robin for non-death related grief. Of course, that when you think about grief, you assume that it's tied to a death, but people have been using it outside of death. Another story and functionality that I really enjoy about Robin is the logistical side of loss. So when someone passes, there are a lot of to dos that need to happen, and you have a very short time window to get all of these tasks done. Um, when really you just want to grieve and be able to grieve in peace. But if you're someone that's handling all the logistics, you kind of have to put your grief on pause so that you can get things handled, like closing accounts, getting the funeral arrangements set, notifying all of the people, and the list goes on and on. And so I sent a newsletter to the people on our list, letting them know that Robin now assists with the logistical side of loss. And someone, I'm not sure if it's a male or female, but someone responded back that this was the prompt that they used with Robin. This is what Robin spit back, and now they have a very easy checklist of what they need to do and when. um, Something that they mentioned is that they knew that there were a lot of things that needed to happen, but didn't understand the timeline. And so, being able to have something tell you, okay, yes, this needs to happen, but you can do this in a couple of weeks. These are the things that should happen today, and so on, and really walk you through, holding your hand through all the things that needs to happen. Then you can, all right, now that you have gotten all that done, let's talk about your grief. Take a deep breath. How are you processing? Where are you at? And so I really enjoy that people feel comfortable sending me screenshots of how Robin has helped them, and how they feel post a conversation with Robin versus how they felt when they sat down to start talking to Robin or chatting with Robin.
That's incredible, isn't it? And so do you have to keep going back in and just checking it out and adapting the technology
I do.
yourself?
I do.
Yeah, keep
Absolutely.
updating it
Absolutely.
with
Because
things. Yeah.
I keep
Is there
updating it. Just go ahead.
No, carry on.
Oh, I was just saying, I do keep updating it because I need to know how it's being used, and of course, to make sure that the responses are safe, um, and to see if there's any opportunities to edit um, its use case. So, for example, it wasn't I didn't intend to allow Robin to help with the logistical side of loss, but once I noticed some of the questions coming in, I realized, okay, this is an opportunity that Robin can assist. And so, so yeah, that's why I just kind of check in on things. So I always say that the information is private to you. No, I can't track any conversation to any particular user, which is why I don't include an email anymore, a login, a name, no identifying information. But it stays anonymous, so that I can just see how it's being used and make sure that it's still a safe tool and product.
That's amazing. And is it just you that does it?
It is right now.
Wow.
So if anyone is listening and this sounds of interest, by all means, let me know. I'm open
That-
because yes, right now it's just
That's
me.
just
Um,
you.
yeah,
That's crazy.
it's just me. Now I do
Oh,
have
so
an extremely. Oh, I was just going to say, I do have an extremely supportive partner who listens to all of my ideas, gives me a bunch of ideas. So I don't feel like I'm alone, but on the day to day, it's me.
that's really brilliant. Tell us what one of the most common questions is asked of Robin.
Okay, so well, the most common form of grief that is presented to Robin is the loss of the first is the loss of a mother, the next is a loss of a child, and then the third is a divorce, either a divorce that is in progress or a divorce that has been completed. So those are and then prompts related to each of those, but those are the three most consistent forms of loss that people bring to Robin.
What about your own cultural context where you are in Georgia? Are there particular
Yeah.
taboos there that would lead people to use Robin rather than speak to their friends?
Oh yeah. So I'm not sure if I can speak to Georgia specifically, or even Atlanta, where I am, but I would say within the Black community there are taboos. There's taboos around talking about and preparing for death, and then the grief that follows. Um, Taboos around emotional sensitivity, what's considered weak, what's considered, oh, that's something you should just keep to yourself. Even therapy, going to therapy excuse me, is lightening, but it's still a taboo topic. So then you add that on top of going to therapy for a death related cause. It's like, oh, what's wrong with you? Are you going crazy? And so having something like Robin, um, can kind of ease that, especially when, if you are used to talking to your friends about everything, not everyone wants to be available or is open to or wants to hear about your complications around loss, especially considering a death. And so yeah, I want to provide some more education around that, so that we can be a more supportive community in general, because it's something that we'll all experience, and so people should not have to travel that journey alone.
That's really interesting. And I was going to say that I was surprised, but then I thought about it because I tend to think of
Yeah.
of Black communities being communities that are really great at death. But then there's all kinds
Mm,
of ideas around what
mm,
happens next and the afterlife, and sort of
yeah,
expectations of what you should or shouldn't believe, and you should be joyous for
yeah.
them. But also, I had a
Hmm.
friend, she was actually Ghanaian, and she said to me once, I think we worked in an art centre, we had some kind of thing on that was about strong Black women, is what it was called at the time.
Okay. Hmm.
And she
Hmm.
said to me one time, she said, I just hate it. And I said, what? And she said, the whole trope of the strong Black woman. She said, it drives me
Yeah,
mad. Why should I
yeah,
have to be strong? Why am I expected to be strong when everyone else is allowed to be vulnerable? And it
yes,
was such a shock to me at the time. But I kind of feel that that ties in with what you're saying.
yeah, yeah. It does. I I that phrase, because you don't hear that tied to any other cultural group, or any other any. There's no. She's such a strong white woman. Where have you ever heard that? You would not hear that, and in fact, it sounds alarming to hear. So yeah, I agree with her. I do not like that phrasing at all. Um, and then also, when that's said, what does it mean to be strong? What exactly does that look like? Because the examples that may follow that are mentally unhealthy, emotionally unwell, um, eliminates self care. It is not a good feeling for us. And so I hope that just as a culture we move away from that, which we are starting to, but that sense of being a strong Black woman does not allow for softness, and which is what we are. Yeah, yeah, we can be soft as well, and I think that we need more of that, and that allows space to tending to grief care.
I love that. I think that's so, so important, isn't it? What you said is right. You never hear that, a strong white woman. It's such an
Yeah,
awful thing to place on people, that kind of obligation. But it is interesting, isn't it? That
yeah,
all of, and then that you think about, I mean, it's all, everyone's talking about inherited trauma now, aren't they? And when you
mhm,
think about what
yeah,
Black communities have been through, the kind of
mhm,
inherited trauma that you will all be holding somewhere, then to on
yeah,
top of it all say you're not allowed to experience this. I can totally see why
mhm,
you would be tapping into Robin instead of going to what might usually be assumed the places you would go to. So that's a whole
mhm,
border
mhm.
that I've never really thought about until you said it. And
Yeah,
there must be so
yeah.
many borders. I mean, it's
There are.
fascinating what you've done. I mean, it's so interesting
Thank
that you've
you. I
even
do.
started out on it, isn't it? Does it feel
Yeah.
like a vocation or just a serendipitous thing?
Oh, okay. It definitely feels serendipitous. Um, the reason that what even got me down this path is that I am, I have now been alive longer without my mom than with her. And her voice is fading. There are key things that I cannot recall how she says, one being my name. And so that's what allowed me to even consider a way message to get people to leave their final goodbyes for their favorite people. And then in doing that, it just kind of led me down the path of Ask Robin. And so now I definitely feel very much so led to serve in the grief care, grief support space, and to build tools that will help grievers along their path, but then also to help those who support and serve grievers as well. Um, so yeah, I definitely feel this is purpose led work, and I'm grateful that God trusts me with such a task.
I'm grateful too. And it feels like a legacy of your mum, which is really lovely.
Yeah,
Let's read out again
thank you.
where you are and what you're doing so that people don't miss it,
Okay.
because I think it's really new and
Oh yeah,
exciting and very precious.
thank
So
you.
Um, 7:15 Eastern Standard Time on the Saturday the 15th. But in the UK, we're
Mhm.
finding her at 7:15 midnight until 1 in the morning, but she's worth it. Beyond Borders, Global Conversations with Loss. Grief Beyond Borders, Global Conversations with Loss is the session title, Sunday the 16th, Rhea Perkins. Don't miss it, because clearly a fantastic person doing wonderful things that everybody needs to know about. And maybe there'll be some funders out there, people that might want to sponsor this, because I mean, she can't do this by herself for the rest of her life. That's crazy. Thank you so much. I really, really love that you've been on with us. I'll just stop the recording now and then we can say goodbye. Bye, everybody.
Okay.